Hello Floss Tube, this is Tara with World Woman Crafts and I am all dressed today for my end of year, end of 2025 WIP Parade, work in progress parade, my performance review, if you will. Someone is on the WIP pile. I was hoping that when I started talking, because I don't think he likes the sound of me talking to myself, he would leave, and that worked perfectly. Great. That is my cat Fozzie. If you are new here, if you are browsing WIP parades, I joined cross stitch heavily in 2020, mid 2020, and found Floss Tube and I guess the beginning of 2021, and have kind of run with it since. I think I started Floss Tube in 2022, summer 2022. I completely missed my anniversary this summer, I know that, but that's okay. I live with my partner and my cat Fozzie, who you just saw the tail end of, in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's been quite a year. It's been quite an interesting year. I think it's very interesting we'll go over some stats as we move through this, but I will try not to belabor my intro here. I didn't practice this. In case you're wondering, quickly I will point out, these are the Lindy Stitches Bird Crush Club birds. I do have all 12. Unfortunately, the way my camera is, you miss a few on the top there, but they are all together in modern hoopla 6-inch hex frames. So they are all actually in embroidery hoops popped into the back of those frames, and I love them. They're my pride and joy. But today for you, I have my works in progress, of which there are 11. We're only going to be looking at 10, and to mix it up a little bit and pad for time, because I know a lot of folks like to stitch on some bigger projects and get some good progress going. I had a thought this year. So for the past 3 years, I guess, I have purchased the Black Needle Society Stitching Journal and Planner. And last year I really fell off. I think it was just largely because I was not in the best headspace, and I do kind of like to use these to track my crafts, but I also was trying to write, a little blurb a day about what was going on in my life and how I was doing, and I was not doing good last year. So I don't think I know a lot of people process emotion through journaling. I didn't want to write it down. Which is maybe a little personal to open up your WIP parade with, but whatever. I have it again this year, and I was kind of setting things up, and as I was writing my works in progress here, of course I already have a hair on my eye. As I was writing my works in progress, I kind of have these big ones up here, but then there's all these down here. And those are ones that I feel like are sort of my sneaky WIPs. They are largely series of ornaments that I have begun that I kind of, I don't have an active piece going right now, but I do have intent to finish the ornament series. And so I feel like, in sort of being honest with myself and with you all, I thought we could go over the ornaments. And they're not all ornament series. Some of them, yeah, these are kind of my sneaky WIPs, we'll call them that. So I'm gonna alternate, I'm gonna work oldest to newest on the WIPs, but then I'm also gonna alternate my sneaky WIPs in between them. And hopefully that will kind of mix it up. Maybe you'll see some cute ornaments, because they are largely little smaller sets. And then 2 adopted WIPs that I got from a friend that I haven't started yet, so I'm not claiming them. Therefore, they're sneaky WIPs. And at the end, we'll cover some stats, and that will be it. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first up, my oldest WIP, my last WIP from 2022, and I officially have no 2023 WIPs. So my WIP span from this single one in 2022, and then everything else is 2024 or 2025, which I am very pleased about. That was not the case last year. I started last year with 22 WIPs, I believe. So I did manage to have my total WIP count, which was not my specific goal, but I'm very happy with that. So first up, my oldest WIP, my one Heaven and Earth Designs. This is the Astronomer by Myles Pinkney. The artwork is by Myles Pinkney, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I am still committed to him. I know haters will say I've given up on him. And last year, as I go along, maybe I'll mention like if there was any goals or anything. I rewatched my WIP parade last year, and the goals that I set for the end of the year, and largely things went pretty well. But this one in particular, I did not set a specific stitch goal for it. I just was like, I need to focus on this more. And that was not a smart goal. It was not measurable. Therefore, nothing was attained. I stitched on it one day in 2025. That's pretty rough. So here's where it was last year, which when looking back at photos as well, I was almost worried when I saw myself hold this up last year and the year before that. I thought I was looking at the same thing. No. And you're going to feel the same now. You're going to be like, no, Tara, that's a recent photo. It is not, I assure you. So here's where it is now. So basically, I think this little 2 set of column that I didn't even finish is what I worked on for one day. So that hurts me. That really hurts me. We are not doing well on this. I am stitching it 1/1 full cross on 25 count easy grid. And especially with the dark colors, like I don't think I really want to switch it up. I do like the look of the full cross. But, and I am thinking maybe I'll do a separate plans video, or it'll be tacked on to the end of my next, floss tube. But I'm thinking maybe this will be a focus for like a quarter of the year, maybe. So that is some thoughts. I actually was just watching Crafting Gaming Jamie's newest like plans video, and I thought it was interesting that she's sort of locking herself down to like 10 whips to focus on. And so I think that I'm still stewing on that, like how I might implement something like that, like just pretend you only have a certain number of your big whips to actually get progress on them, because otherwise I think you get bogged down. As I did, I kind of cleared out like all the easiest quote unquote, all these smaller things are sort of cleared out, and I feel like what I'm left with in these 10, 11 whips is stuff that is much bigger. So I have to change the approach. And I am, since I only have 10, I am going to highlight the bags, especially since a lot of them are friends and handmade. So this is living in this bag, which I made. This is a Hands-On Designs chart that I stitched. And then I bought this kit from, I'll put it in the description, but I bought this kit to make this bag and I made it and I love it. I'm not a expert sewist, so this was quite a project for me. So we'll just bag things as we go. Okay. First sneaky whip. So this is the Stitch4Pride 2025, hosted by D's 20 Stitches. I completely kept up in 2024, and 2025 did not go so well for me. And these ones are not ironed, I apologize. But I only stitched the January part, which is why like I like to list them separately in my Notion template or in my Notion database, since they all have different names and different threads and all that jazz. So it's not an active whip on my Notion, but obviously I have intent of finishing the whole thing as one piece. And I think what I want to do with it is make it a tote bag when it's done. So yeah, we need a lot more stitching to happen here. So I hope to finish this in 2026. We will see how it goes. It's just very fun. I loved all the motifs this past year. I like to pull, I'm stitching this on 18 count Nothing, I believe, by Mystic Fabrics. And I am using just like random, it's a great opportunity for me to pull specialty threads from my wall. So that is that. First sneaky whip. And this is living in a bag that Jenny of the Quilt Junkie made for me, and I'm obsessed with it. It's such a great big size, and it needs to get stitched on. Okay. So it begins. My next oldest whip is Armchair Ornithologist, and I guess, yeah, here I can, you know what's funny is I feel like a lot of the whips that I have remaining I actually have as paper charts, but then I actually ended up I either like rechart them for my personal use or I purchased the PDF. I think I ended up purchasing the PDF for this one. I don't like stitching off paper, but this is Lindy Stitch's Armchair Ornithologist, which, call back to this, it includes all the 12 birds from the Bird Crush Club, which obviously I was obsessed with, so I had to stitch this. And this I started in February 21st, 2024. Look back there. And here's where it was. Sorry, I'm already getting ahead of myself here. Here's where it was in the WIP Parade last year, which these are exciting because you get to see a whole year's worth of work, or it's very depressing like the Hade. But here's where it is now. So this one got a lot of work, and I actually had a goal to finish this year, or in 2025, but that did not happen, obviously. But all in all, this kind of ended up, in the grand scheme of things, this got more work than I thought it was going to. And you may notice, since we just looked at the pattern, I did change the sweater and the hair color to match me a little bit more in a sweater I own. And this is currently sitting at 60% complete, I believe. And definitely hope for a finish in 2026. And this is stitched on 32 count ballet slipper by Fox and Rabbit, and it is with the called for DMC. I love this fabric. I love this pattern. It's so good. And then this one, as I put this up, lives in and these are like medium ironed. You'll hear about this in my floss tube, but I had my first ironing accident where like I melted something and then I kind of forgot about it, and then the next day some stitching got a little bit damaged, so I was a little bit nervous to iron the WIPs today, but they're all fine. But I didn't really commit. This is living in my Golden Familiars Stitch and Go case with all these fun cryptids. This was a custom one. I picked the fabrics and I love it. It's great for us bobbin users. You can also get them for non-bobbinating, but I bobbinate, so I like that one. Okay, next up, and I'll grab, since I have my tree up still, I'll grab a sample here. This is Swedish Neat Bells by Ink Circles, and it is a set of 6 ornaments. This was a Jingle Ball class, the very first Jingle Ball, and I got the kit, and I have fully stitched and fully finished 3 of them. So I have 3 more to go. These are so small. These are so small, but that it's just kind of like the eternal struggle I find between making progress on bigger things and then sort of getting a bunch of smaller things done. So this just, the past 3 years I've done like 1 per year basically, and I didn't do one this past December. So I don't know, maybe it's like, maybe I just need to say, do 1 of each of your ornament sets a year and then eventually they'll get done, or do I want to like really focus in and kind of eliminate all these? That is still kind of the outstanding question. But yeah, I have all these supplies to fully finish these. So I have 3 pieces remaining on that. All right, next WIP. This was my Leap Day start in 2024. That's when Leap Day was, right? And this was a gift from a friend. It is a custom printed cross stitch using a photo of my cat, Fozzie, as I talked about, and his little Fozzie toy that my sister gave him. So I affectionately call this Fozzie Squared, or Fozzie and Fozzie. And as I said, it is a printed canvas. And boy, howdy, am I not far on this. Hopefully, yeah, you'll see where it was last year. Basically, you'll notice the number 20 is like kind of covered up. You can still see the bottom of the circle though, not that far. And then I did bail out and do 1 more color. You would think the fill would help. And I am kind of thinking to myself that maybe the last time I touched this, I kind of spread, I'm sure you won't be able to see, but I took this brown color and kind of carried it out a little bit, because I was wondering if maybe it's just this block stitching that's killing me, and maybe I would like to jump around a bit. And since this is full coverage, I am gonna go crazy. I won't show off my bags on everything. I don't care what they look like, but just to show that stitching happened farther away, I started kind of dragging this brown around. But I think part of my issue with this is the 8 is a little crunchy. Also, I think what is hard is that the symbols, like, I'm never wrong about the symbols, but I'm often not confident when I'm looking at it. And so therefore I feel that even though this is supposed to be, you know, I've heard people say that they like these because you're not staring at a pattern, but I find myself often going back to this and looking in there and trying to basically use the pattern anyway. Because I just have no confidence, especially in confetti stitching, that I'm like, is that the one color? Not sure. But alas, so the deal with this, I guess I'm kind of low-key going through goals as we go through this since I don't have that many WIPs, but if it is a leap day, and the goal with it being a leap day start was that it would be finished by next leap day in 2028, that means this should be at 50%, 50% by the end of this February. And that's obviously not happening. And I think I did the math to see like what I would need to stitch per month if I wanted that to be at 75% by next year's February. And I think I'd have to stitch like 2,600 stitches a month on it. And I don't know about that. So once again, if you have succeeded in larger full coverages, I would love any tips of like how you have more than one WIP and you get them done, because I don't understand. This bag is another Quilt Junkie bag. She's not even a Star Wars fan, and she made me an R2-D2 bag, and I love it so much. And I feel like I have like a BB-8 in spirit on the side here with these 2 little balls as well. I love that bag. Okay, next WIP, sneaky WIP. We did a real WIP. Next sneaky WIP is the Polar Plunge series by Hands On Design. So if you have not seen these, I think, okay, I must have pulled the patterns out, and they must be somewhere else. But you get the idea. So this is the Polar Plunge series. There are 6 of these. I have stitched 2. I have fully finished none. I own the finishing pack. What a time. So I will show you here. Yeah, they're not cut out. Okay, so I have fully finished these 2, the whale and the polar bear. And I have the fabric. This is on the called for. This is 32 count. I think it is called Polar Plunge by Fabrics by Stephanie. Oh wait, I feel a tag here. Yeah, 32 count Polar Plunge by Fabrics by Steph. And I love these. I love these. I have the called for threads, the finishing boards, the whole thing. So this is just me saying out loud, this is kind of a WIP. Sorry, I didn't mean to flash the pattern. Sneaky WIP. So I have 4 more of those to go. It adds up fast. So it's like I have 11 parts of Stitch4Pride, 3 Swedish neat bells, 4 of these. It adds up. They're all small individually, but I want them all, and that's the problem. Okay, next up is the paper of this as well. Cardinal's Promise by Stitchy Prose. And I am stitching this as a sort of memorial piece for my grandmother. I love the sentiment of cardinals representing one's lost, and it's just beautiful. Every time I did get some good progress on this year. So this is where it was at WIP Parade time last year. This one does have a hanging thread. And here is where I'm at now. So I made it to the bottom corner, which is very exciting. I am using the called for cottage threads, and truly they're so gorgeous together. This red is maybe one of my favorite reds I've ever stitched with. And the greens are amazing as well. So this is halfway, and so you can see, so this will be square. So we kind of get the idea. I think it's going to be a really nice size. I'm stitching this on a 36 count. I never remember this one. Let me look. Oh, okay, I just say gray linen from Bestitch Me. I don't know if this was a fight night or what, but this is just a gray linen from Bestitch Me, a 36 count, and it is looking great. And this was a start. I guess I've not been consistent with this. This is a start on April 11th of 2024, which was my grandmother's birthday. So, did I say 2011? 2024 is when I started this, if I said 2011. I'm out of practice. You know, you do your little daily floss tubes and you only have to talk for like 5 minutes, and now talking any longer is just beyond me, apparently. Also, New Year's resolution. I need to stop leaving things in nurges. Again, I didn't iron these like aggressively, but those nurge hoops, they're kind of aggressive. I haven't had any major issues, and I've always been able to ultimately get the ring out, but okay. And this is living in a Bags by Judy, I believe she goes by. She sells on Facebook, if I understand, but I bought it at a retreat from her in person. And this has Charlie Harper fabric, which I love. Very sweet. And her design, what she kind of does is, so it's not see-through, but her concept is like, if your bags are all sitting together, you can like flip up and sneak a peek at the pocket. And at some point I got a sticker maker, so I was like, I can have a record of all the projects that have lived in here, and it's only been 2 so far. So Cardinal's Promise is living in here right now. Next sneaky project is, I don't know if this series has a name necessarily, but is a hands-on designs series. Oh, here, look, here's the rest of the polar plunge. What do you know? But these are flamingos. It's a set of 3. So we have Falamingo, Flamingo Bells, and Flamingo All the Way. This is the only one I haven't stitched. I haven't fully finished either, but I will show you. I did a conversion of fancy flosses from Stash, so none of the called for, but I feel like it's in a similar, I tried to match the look with my thread, so it's a combination of all different dyers, and I am using them for all 3. So here's my Flamingo All the Way. It's still January. Part of me is like, I could knock out some of these Christmas ornaments in January and then just sort of restart my year February. What do we think? Thoughts? Yeah, so one more piece of that to go. This is my confession. And you know what's even worse is that I started FFOing these flamingos before Thanksgiving. I even have like the backing piece done for one of them, and then I just stopped. What a time. Oh yeah, and these are in a fun flamingo bag from the Black Needle Society. Next WIP is Autumn Night Alphabet by Owl Forest Embroidery. I only have this digitally, so I'll put this here. Oof, this one. Okay, so this is big. This is really big. It's like 430. Watching myself back last year, I think I have the dimensions on the top of my head. It is 432 stitches tall. I only worked on it, I think, like 2 or 3 days in 2025, which hurts. So this is where it was, and this is where it is. We're a little bit more down the hill in the center there, but oh boy, there's a lot to go. But I love it. I do love it. I want it. And this pattern is available in the Latin alphabet. I am doing the Cyrillic because my partner is Bulgarian. And even though this is in Russian, so there's actually a few extra letters. But that's fine. Close enough. We'll stitch them. So this is where this is at. I am stitching this on 36 count Cobblestone by Fiber on a Whim. I got this my first Stitch Con. It is a half yard, which I really like. I don't remember anymore how big this is going to be on here, but I did a center start-ish, even though I was looking at it as I ironed it and I was like, that doesn't look very centered, but I think it's like the very top of her house is truly the center. So at least we hope. Better start heading down to the bottom. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So this blanket this is kind of one of my key 4 that I am like, you are a problem. I started this August 2nd, 2024. Owl Forest Embroidery, I said that right. I'm using the called for Owl Forest threads. And This lives in a Lynn X Stitches Creates bag. Got these fun witchy teapots. It is also funny, I love Halloween, so I started a couple of like bigger Halloween projects, and so even though I only have 10 projects, like so many of them tend to fall more Halloween. My percentage of Halloween projects is alarmingly high. Okay, next up, I don't really have photos of these, but it is, like I said, a sneaky WIP, is my Ink Circles Round Robin. So I am doing a round robin with 3 other fantastic stitchers. We did one in 2024 and we started up again in 2025, but life happened to all of us and we just didn't quite get all the way through. So I have stitched my quarter and Julie of Julian Stitches piece. I have it still. I did finish my quarter, but I'm just kind of waiting until everyone's ready to shift again. So I have 2 more pieces of that to come. I have Miriam of Marumi Designs and Julie of Kansas City Girl and a Colorado Worlds pieces to stitch on. So that's just like 2 more pieces that are going to come, and I'm going to need to deal with them in a timely manner. So we're just coming into 2026, having a very real picture of the stitching that needs to happen. So unfortunately not really, I mean, hopefully, maybe I'll put up a picture of mine, but yeah, 2 more pieces of that to go. Next WIP. This one was my WIP Go flop of the year. I did so good with my friend WIP Go. I actually ended up at the end of the year catching up on every single call, except for the poor 3 souls that called this project. And largely it's because they rolled too big of numbers and I didn't get it done. But this is, oh yeah, I guess I have the paper chart again. I think this is another one that I ended up purchasing the PDF after it came out. I think I bought this at Market, Nashville, one of those, like when it first came out and then took a couple years to start it. And here it is a couple years later. So this is Moths and the Moon by Tiny Modernist. And I started this with Marjorie of Marjorie Made, and we hosted the Moths Over Many Moons SAL, and that ended up being a very apt name because neither she nor I are done. I know a couple of other people started this with us, and I know Amy of the Thread Gremlins finished hers for sure. I've seen a few more, I think, but yeah, I'm holding to the SAL name, not the finishing part. So here's where it was last year. It did get some progress, but I think I'm still like 2,000 stitches short of what it was called for in WIP Go. But here it is now. I do still love it. I really do love it. And looking at it, I'm just like, I need to buckle down and I have the most success on this one when I do use both light and a little magnification, because this is 36 count Seaweed by Fox and Rabbit. And I am obsessed with it. I love it, but this $37.99, and I do tend to be more of a like, I do want to tackle most of the border before I do anything in the middle. I obviously let myself do one moth, but otherwise I really just want to kind of bang out the rest of the border first. It's hard to see that $37.99 on this. I'm not going to lie to you. It looks, you know, it looks so good. It looks so good, and I think all the moths are going to glow on it, but it's just a little bit of a painful one to pull out. It needs the right conditions. And so I just don't tend to grab for it. I just don't. And this was a start on September 4th, 2024. So I also started it for my birthday. That's my birthday start. And I guess I didn't say, yeah, I know the Heaven and Earth Designs was also a birthday start for my 30th birthday. And I will be 60 when it's done at this rate. At 100 stitches a year. It's not gonna work. Okay, and this lives in another friend-made bag. I'm so special and loved. Okay, if I could get this in here. This bag is from Erin of the Hathaway Stitchers. And it's a beautiful moth bag. And it has Erin's signature style with the pocket in front. So if you have a paper pattern in here, it won't press up against the vinyl. So smart. She's got this cute little cicada charm on there. Well, I'll call it a cicada. Yeah. Love this one. Also hope for a finish in 2026. Yay. All right, next sneaky WIP. This one's going pretty well. I knocked out 2 of these this fall, and there's not that many, like, I have a long way to go. This is the Satsuma Street 12 Days of Christmas series. So this past December, she released the 6th day of Christmas, the 6 geese a laying, which was so adorable. It's like this little sleepy goose on top of a giant egg. Where did she come up with that? And I did not buy it off the website immediately, and it sold out. I know it'll come back in stock. I looked at my local needlework store when I was back in Texas for the holidays. They didn't have it in stock. It'll come when it comes. So I have stitched through day 3, and so I have the calling birds and the 5 rings, the gold rings, still kitted up. So those are still going. They're so fun. I'm obsessed with Satsuma Street's colors. Love that. But that's 3 more pieces, and then as of December I'll have a new one. But it would be really awesome to like just catch up all of them, and then that's something I can look forward to every December, is like the release, and I can purchase it immediately guilt-free, and you know, that can be like a fun December start. So maybe that's like the aspiration for that one for sure, because it's still ongoing. We have many more years of releases of that left. Next WIP. It's another Halloween one. This is Autumn Lane Stitchery's Witch's Hollow, which was originally released in their Halloween box. We've got the needle minder still. This is such a cool thing. One thing I love about Autumn Lane is that I love when they do this type of thing where all the orange in here is the fabric, and they kind of let the fabric shine through and do some of the work, even though this whole top is basically full coverage. So this is a big one. This is a big one. This is where it was last year. And again, I don't know why, like mentally, I really thought that I worked more on this. I really did. I thought it was like such a big change, and then I'm looking, and no evidence can be shown that big progress was made on this, unfortunately, but some progress was made. So yes, you've seen where it was, and here it is now. So yeah, I put a few little stitches up in this house. I wanted to go up first to work on the sky because, again, since that's full coverage, I thought, you know, start there and then there will be less stitching down here. I'm stitching this on a 32 count fabric from Jackson Fabric Arts in the color Soul. And this was back when it was hemp linen, which I love the feel of, and I don't know if she dyes it like that anymore. I don't know if she uses the hemp linen, which is sad because it's so unique and so soft and so cool, and I love it. But I've gotten a lot of use out of this fabric. I've used it for multiple ornaments already, and now I have this big one, so it definitely is getting its time with me. But I started this, did I say, September 13th, 2024. This was kind of an unplanned start, but I just had to do it. And now here it is, partially done. But you know, they're all only a year old at this point. How bad is that? But this is another one that's like a bigger piece that I want to figure out my method for like getting good progress on bigger pieces. I feel like I have 4 of them. And this bag was made by Chandria Carol Stitches, my friend, and she surprised us with me one of the first times that we met up, and I was so shook. And she was like my first cross-stitch internet friend that I made. So special. Next sneaky WIP is, you can see the one I have done back there. This is another Ink Circles Jingle Ball class. I hope she comes back to Jingle Ball one day because I take her classes. This is Season Greetings, the pillow trio. So in the class, I completed this pillow, which I'll grab it. I got to show it off this year. So this was the pillow I finished. And she uses a cool like wraparound method, very fun. The batiks were fun. We did a little visible stitching, very cool, love it. And I'm honestly still on the fence about whether or not I want to stitch all 3 of these, but I do believe I told one of my friends that I would at least stitch this one. So I'm on the hook for at least that. I have the kit. I still have the fabric and the floss. I also purchased the big sampler, which I don't think I have a photo of in here, but I do have the big season greeting sampler as well. And I purchased it in 40 count because I thought I could get away with maybe not having to buy more classic colorworks, but I certainly don't think there's a reality where I stitch all 3 of these and the sampler with one set of threads. I don't know. I don't know. Help me. Another sneaky WIP. Potentially 2 more there. Put this back. All right, next WIP, last WIP of 2024 is Monster House. I'll put this one up by Satsuma Street. I love this one. It's amazing. The colors are amazing. Satsuma Street and her colors, to a match made in heaven. And this is where it was last year. Not a lot of progress this year, you'll see. And here's where it is now. So this I'm stitching on a 32 count flamingo, I believe, from Laura's Fabrics. And I am pretty sure I added like a little bit in the roof, and this skeleton is rough, y'all. It is rough. I love it. And then on top of that, I started this with Michaela of Cinematic Stitches, and she got a lot of great stitching in this year. I think she like is done most of the bottom of the house, and I want to work on it. I want to work on it. Oh gosh, I love it so much. It doesn't look like much now, but she has inspired me to definitely want to get back to it. So this is like another one of my big 4. So my big 4, I feel, are the Heaven and Earth designs, the full coverage custom chart of my cat, Autumn Night Alphabet, and and Witch's Hollow. This one's not even, I kind of was not classing this as a big one, but this is sort of also a big one. Okay, and we'll roll this up. And I'm stitching this with the called for DMC because how would you not? They're perfect. And this is living in a 805 stitcher bag that I bought several years ago. Very cute. Next sneaky WIP. Where am I at? Oh, sorry, I'm not. Oh yeah. This one I don't have anything to show. So I started a piece in 2024 called The Eye from a Ko-fi shop, titled, and the designer's name is like Faerrieess with a lot of R's and vowels happening in there. And I finished this piece, and it is based off a horror anthology podcast that I love called the Magnus Archives. And there are 13 other pieces. This is the short way to say that. There are 13 other pieces. I love them because they're kind of a small tarot card size, especially because I stitched them on the 18 count. Yeah, that's long and short of it. I have 13 of those to go if I want the whole set. Incredible. Next up, we are on to my first WIPs from 2025. So no last year photos to show. These are all as of this year. And this one is Purple Transport by Lindy Stitches. And I started this with Amity of the Hathaway Stitchers this summer. We picked, I'm using the Call for DMC, but then we made our own Roxy Floss conversion for the fancy colors and chose our own fabric. So this is Purple Transport, and it is stitched on a 40 count lap and loops in the color Mother's Milk. Neither one of us, I think, would have picked 40 if given the chance, but this color fabric was the most perfect fabric we had seen. And it was only available in 40 at StitchCon, so we had to do it. But yeah, and then the 3 Roxy Floss are the purple, the blue, and the background grass green here. And this one I think is going to be an easy knockout this year because I officially last time I worked on this, I managed to outline everything. So I just have to fill the horse, fill the moon, fill the tail, and put the reins on the horse. So this is going great. It's looking good. I think well on track to be finished this year for sure. And we started that July 15th of this year, because I believe that was like National I Love Horses Day. I think we were looking for a silly reason to start, and I think that's what we came up with. And this is also living in a Quilt Junkie mini project keeper. I love. She totally used like scrap fabric and stuff, and I'm obsessed with it. This is so great. This has been a big, like, whatever I'm taking to work often gets packed in this guy, so sensational. Next sneaky whip is another one that I don't have bags for. That's right. So the next one is Lil Hexes by Dee's 20 Stitches. This was a trio of pieces that Dee put out, again, several years ago, and I have stitched the little the teacup hex teacup, little hex teacup, whatever it's called, and I have two more. I have the fabric, I have the threads, very cute. I fully finished the teacup. I like them all, but yep, so that's two more pieces. They're not that big, but I have like 50 things now you've seen that are not that big that I want to get done. So just good to just put it, I'm just putting it all out there, what I really want done. So the ornaments, man. Okay. Yes, next up is, let me grab it's another paper chart. This is Quaker Halloween by Aury TM. And I started this with Erin of the Hathaway Stitchers, and we just thought it was cool. And we also thought, I feel like this is one of those cases, I've talked about this before, I feel like this is one of those cases where the model is not doing justice to how funny and cool I think this pattern is. So I still just love Got Worm. That one just really got me. And the I Told You I Was Sick also really got me. But I didn't love the tone on tone option back here. So I chose to go tone on tone, but in a different direction. And I punched up all the other called for colors. So there's no called for colors in this, no called for fabric, but we're loving it. So this is where I'm at with this. If you followed this journey with me, there is stitching, it is right here. And so I think when this all washes out, you are going to be aware that there's stitching going on. It's going to be a little bit of a trick of the eye. But I think it's going to be cool. And I put the bad in to kind of make sure that like there is going to be a pop. You see that bad for sure. So the non-Quaker colors are going to pop for sure. But much like the model, the Quaker motifs in the background are really going to blend. This is a 28 count dyed fabric from Crafty Gurumi. I purchased their Advent box for 2024, for the 2024 holiday season, and they didn't put one out in 2025, which made me so sad, but love this fabric. So I don't know if they keep fabric listed in their Etsy, but that is where this is from. Okay. And then we are getting to the end here. So this is all the whips you will see today. The active whips, but quickly, I have to show this bag off for sure. So for the Harvest Moon Hangout, I took a class this year with Tiger Lily Designs, and I bought the kit, and I was able to make this Starburst bag. I'm obsessed. I am so proud of this. I'm so proud of this. My first, lots of firsts. I gushed about it at the time, but that's what this is living in. And then, yes, so we have another sneaky whip. So these next two are my adopted projects. So I have a friend, Jennifer Frog Stitcher on Instagram, and she went through all her whips this year, of which there are many, and made it an executive decision that she just truly does not like stitching on 36 and 40 count anymore. And so I was given the option to adopt some of these whips that are on higher counts that I wanted. So one of them I chose, I actually am not 100% sure. I'll put the pattern up This is an Owl Forest chart. It's one of a series, I'm not doing the whole series, that are like slice woodcut type things. And so this is the beaver one. And so none of this is my stitching, but this is Jennifer's work. So you can see why I was like, you can't throw that away. I think she's already restitched the whole thing. But this is what she has done. And she shared the threads with me, I believe. What am I looking at in here? Yeah, she gave me the threads. And so we'll need to get to this at some point, but I'm not really calling it a WIP yet because I haven't stitched on it. But she did a lot of work, so I need to kind of like get the digital and put it in Pattern Keeper and or Saga and figure out how many stitches we're talking about here. But that looks 50% done, right? At least. And then, so my last active WIP, I'm not going to share today because it is a gift for someone who watches the channel. And yeah, but it is a gift that is like the priority for January, so you will see it soon. But there is technically one more active WIP, but I cannot share it at this time. And then I have 2 more sneaky WIPs, and then we'll be all done. So first up, this is Arctic Blast by Carolyn Manning. I've never done a Carolyn Manning, and so I was like, go big or go home. And I love Arctic, love the Arctic vibes. And so this was another adoption from Jennifer's WIPs. This is stitched on a 40 count as well. A Jody fabric, I believe, maybe. I don't know if she wrote it on here. Let's see. Oh, sorry. She said this is a 40 count Verdal from Coffee Craft Fabrics. Obviously didn't iron this, but this is where she got, obviously, a lot to go. So again, just sort of pretending this isn't here right now because this is massive. But everyone says they love Carolyn Manning. That is so fun and so satisfying. Y'all better be right. I'm taking your word for it. And then my very last sneaky WIP is again from Jennifer, but I am not adopting it. This was one when she was going through her things that is too far along. She didn't want to restart it, but she wants the finish. The count's too high. I don't want the finish. So this is Guitar Landscape Moonlight by Artecy. If I can find a photo, I'll put it up here. And it's on a 40 count. So here's where she is. So not terribly much to go. Hopefully, I haven't looked at the pattern in a minute. I think it wasn't a lot. Hopefully, what did I sign up for? Just kidding, Jennifer, I'll do it. But I told her I would stitch this for her generosity. And because I didn't want to see it get tossed. It's hard. She tossed a lot and I watched it happen, but because I can't adopt all of these, but this one is very cool. And so she sent me the threads, and this is a 40 count linen by Tropical Stitches. Not sure, she's been stitching longer than I have, so who knows, but it's a light gray fabric. You can find this. So that one's very cool. So that is it. That's the full truth of what is going on over here. And now I would like to cover some of my stats with y'all because I think it's fun. So let's transition to that. Okay, so for our stats, I am going to be looking behind you a little bit. I apologize at my computer. So first I will put up my little top notes for the year. So I, in 2025, stitched 108,894 stitches, which was a little bit of a surprise to me because I feel like compared to 2024, I barely stitched at all. And in 2024, I did stitch like 161,000. So, I mean, there was like 50,000 stitches missing in comparison, but to crack 100,000, I am quite proud of myself. I worked on 40 unique projects, and I stitched an average of 9,074 stitches a month, which again feels high. I had some low stitchy months, you will see. And then, so I worked on 40 unique projects, and I thought this was fun to show the most days I stitched on a project. So my top five were extraordinary birds that I worked on for 50 days. And you know what is crazy is I was putting this together, I stitched the Lola Crow Deadly Aquarium SAL the year before, and I also stitched it in exactly 50 days. What is that? They were not the same number of stitches. I think this one was smaller? I don't remember, but I took exactly 50 days for both of them. That's so interesting to me. Anyway, the next one was Jack's Stamp Collection, which I stitched on for 44 days, which makes sense because I stitched on it every single day of October. So that was, 31 days at least. Next up was Arctic Animals by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Oh yeah, Jack's Stamp Collection was Katie Landis. Arctic Animals was Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and I stitched on that for 33 days, finished that SAL on time. Then it was the Tea Glass Pattern by 8 Pixel that I finished for my friend. I spent 21 days stitching on that in 2025. And finally, Beach Rat. I spent 20 days stitching on Beach Rat to get that done, which is also pretty funny to me. So yeah, that was my top projects. And now I will put up my little monthly stitch graph. Yeah, there was some highs and some lows this year. You can see September was my biggest stitchy month, and then surprisingly, January is usually in past years been a lower stitchy month for me, but I started the year off strong, and then yeah, April and October were also pretty big. So like I said, enough to kind of average me out at 9,000 stitches a month, which like I said feels high, but we'll take it. And then I also wanted to compare them to last year's, which maybe you're looking at, which is funny. That graph kind of like had more of a rise and a fall, which is very interesting. But, it's just very fun to start to have this like year over year information. It's like, who am I year to year? And then the other graph I'm going to show this year, because I don't really know if I feel like compiling the rest of what I showed last year, but this is my starts versus finishes bar graph. So you can see I have fully finishes, and starts. So my most kind of active months were June, but I had no FFOs, so that was the most starts and finishes. And then December really pulled ahead with the fact that I had so many FFOs. So that was really interesting. And I should have said this like way up at the top front part, but I had 18 starts and 29 finishes and 18 fully finishes. That is shocking to me. When you can see all those months from March to July that I didn't do any FFOs. That is crazy. August was the big one. August was when I had that bachelorette party for my friend, and it was supposed to be a craft weekend, and only I did crafting. But by God, did I do crafting. I got so many finishes done. I got 6 FFOs in August. Were they all done at that? They were all done at that weekend. Crazy. So shout out to me for being weird at the bachelorette. It's fine. Everyone else was just drinking by the pool. I got up in the morning and did FFOing. I had goals going into that weekend and I met them. But anyway, so that was really funny. So yeah, I think at the beginning of the year, I said something crazy like a 4-to-1 start on SALs and a 2-to-1 to start anything new. So didn't quite hit that. I came close, 1829, not too bad. Certainly compared to last year where I had 65 starts and 60 finishes. We'll take it. We'll take under 30 for all these things, under like at least halved the starts and finishes. So it was definitely a very different year, starts and finishes wise, but it is interesting that the stitching kind kind of worked out in a way I didn't expect. So also my monthly average of stitching last year was like 13,400, almost 13,500 stitches a month. So definitely a drop of stitching month over month. But you know what? That's okay, because I added in, you know, things like daily walks, and I had to go to the office full time. So it makes sense for these things, but it is interesting to see. And I'm still really proud of myself of what I got done. So that is, I think, kind of the only things. Last year I kind of looked at like my days that I stitched, and maybe if I have generated that number by the time I've edited this, I'll put it up. And I think like I had a graph of like the number of designers I stitched on and how many of their patterns I stitched on. I feel like this year was more of a spread. Anyway, again, maybe you're looking at these things and I'm just not describing them. I didn't generate them. I started working on them this morning, and then I was like, I'm never going to film this WIP Parade if I'm sitting here messing with these graphs. So it's already January 3rd, so I'm kind of behind the ball, but that is fine. So that is everything I have for my WIP Parade. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you consider sticking around and want to follow the rest of the stitching throughout the year. As you can see, I have a little bit more of a more modern style, and a lot of Halloween at this point comparatively, which is funny. But with that, I've so been enjoying everyone else's WIP parades, and I look forward to watching more and continuing to stitch, and I hope to see you in my next video, whether that's a standalone plans or the floss tube or whatever I come up with. And I also, the goal for this year is, I think maybe I'm going to try doing a floss tube every 3 weeks. I was able in 2024 to do I switched to every 2 weeks. But that just isn't quite working out. I think with the like decreased stitching amount, it doesn't feel as like pressing that I update every 2 weeks. And with going to the office every day, it just is a little bit much to do every 2 weeks. So, but a month still feels too long. So we're gonna try for 3 weeks, see where we land. I am not the most consistent uploader. It will come, but I would not bet on a date. I would not bet on a date. But to everyone who watched me in the past year, whether this is your first or last video, first or last of the year, it's a new year. If you watched any of my videos last year, thank you so much. It means a lot, and I'm just so thrilled that I have so many stitchy friends. That was kind of the hope of starting the floss tube, was to put myself out there and make friends, and I have made so many wonderful friends, and I hope to continue to make friends and meet new people, and it's just great. Cross stitching is the best. We have the best hobby. So with that, I will send good thoughts for the new year for all of us, that we will have a better year than 2025. Again, stitching wise, it all kind of ended up shaking out for me, but it didn't feel that way in the moment. It felt bad kind of the whole time. So I am, sending just thoughts of ease and peace and comfort in your stitching next year, because goodness knows we all need it. So thank you, everyone. I'll stop rambling. Take care. Bye.